Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah. In this video I'm going to show you how to assemble my gorgeous little Boston Terrier layered cutting file. So if I just tilt him to one side, you can see all of those different layers which come together to make the finished little dog. The cutting file is available from my shop and I'll put a link in the description of this video. It comes in multiple file formats including SVG, PDF, DXF, PNG. So if your cutting machine can use any of those files, which most of them can, then you'll be able to use this lovely Boston to make your own craft projects. So let's jump in and start assembling. So here are all the layers of the Boston Terrier cut out and ready for me to stick together. So I've cut it out from two different shades of black. So I've got a black and then a very dark grey. And then for the white parts, I've cut it out from a white and then a slightly off-white. So when you load the SVG file into your cutting machine software, it's all in bright colours, so you know which bits need to be cut in which colour. I did it that way because when I tried using kind of realistic colours, it was hard to see on the cut screen in Cricut Design Space which bit needed to be which colour, especially when you've got like grey and then black. It was all looking a bit too similar, so that's why it will load in funky bright colours when you put it into your cutting machine software. But included in with the file is a guide on the actual colours to use, so be sure to open up that PDF document and it will tell you which layer to cut from which colour. Alright, so let's jump in with the assembly of this Boston Terrier. I'm going to move all of the body parts to one side for now, and the first thing I'm going to do is attach the eyes. So you've got this part of the head which has the cutouts in, and it's got two spaces for the whites of the eyes. So if you turn that upside down, you also cut out two circles for the eyes in white, and these will fit on the back. So for this part, just take some glue and add a little bit of glue to the back of the head in those eye sockets, and then you can just place the white circles over each of them, and then when you turn it over you'll see that it fills in the space nicely to give a nice bit of character to the eyes. Now this design is a lot of layers by default, so what I do to stop it getting too thick when it's all made up is I stick the filigree layers to the shadow layers underneath. So that would be this filigree part of the body with all the flowers on. I stick with glue to the matching layer underneath, which I cut from dark grey, and then the same with the two white layers. So I use glue to stick one on top of the other. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll start with these white ones. So I'm going to turn the one with the cutouts in the tummy upside down, and then just add a little bit of glue to the back. You could do every single layer with foam pads if you want a really 3D thick finished Boston Terrier design, but I like to do it with a mixture of glue and foam pads so it doesn't get too thick, and also I just kind of prefer how it looks using a combination of glue and foam. So I'm just going to stick this on top of the other white layer. It will line up perfectly. There we go. And then put that to one side to dry and bring in the darker layers. So this is the middle body layer, it's dark grey, and then I cut this top one with the flowers from black, and that's going to stick on top. So I'm not quite sure if you can see the colour differences on the camera. Hopefully you can. But again, you can refer to the PDF document which comes with the cutting file for an assembly guide. So I'm just adding a little bit of glue here and being careful not to put glue in any of the gaps on the cutouts, so it's just going around the edge and adding some little dabs of glue inside some of these filigree areas. So you don't need, you know, a ton of glue, just enough on there that it's going to stick and you're not going to have any bits that are likely to catch or come off. So this will line up perfectly with my dark grey layer. And the good thing about using glue is you do have that bit of wiggle room. If you don't quite line it up on the first go, you can just slide it around to get it lining up. Now the glue I've used will dry clear, so if I get a little bit coming out like I've got there, it's not the end of the world, as it will dry see-through. Okay, so there's just one more bit of gluing to do before I move on to the foam pads. So I've got the face bit that I stuck the circles to at the start. I'm going to stick that to the other piece of the head. And actually, there's one more bit of gluing after that as well, which I had just forgotten about. But for this one, so the head is upside down, and then I'm just putting a little bit of glue on here. And then I can stick that to the dark grey head layer. Here we are. I think I've actually stuck that the wrong way around because it doesn't quite line up, and it should. So be careful when doing it that you don't make that same mistake. And then one more to glue is just to glue the bits of the snout. So this one is quite thin and narrow, which is where having tacky glue with a thin nozzle is really helpful, because it means you can get nice and detailed with where you're putting the glue. So I'm going to stick that one on there. Okay, and now we're ready for the foam pads. So I'm going to start by taking the main body layer, which is this black one, and the next thing to stick on is the white body. So that's going to go on like that. So turn it upside down and bring in your foam pads. I'm using foam pads that come on a bit of paper. I've cut them all in half as they were quite big, and I wanted them to go further when I'm using them. So if your foam pads are a bit big, you can just cut them with a pair of scissors. So I'm just going to add some of these to the back of the white layer. Make sure you put some foam pads in the middle to stop the card from sagging under the weight of all the other layers. And then when you're happy with that, just peel off the tops of the foam pads to release all of that lovely stickiness. There we are. So now I can turn this over, bring my bottom layer back in and stick this one on top. So we're lining it up exactly with the layer underneath, and then push down on all those foam pads to make sure they're stuck. The next layer to add is the grey one with all of the flowers. So that will sit on like that one. So I'm going to do the same thing again, turn it upside down and add some foam pads. Alright, so I've peeled off the sticky bits and now I can line it up with the white layer. Next I'm going to add the black layer of the head, which will sit on like that. So turn it upside down once more and you've guessed it, we're going to be adding foam pads to the back. Here we are, so I can turn it upside down, line it up and push down to stick that layer. And now we've just got one more, which is the detail on the Boston's face, and you can see how just adding that really finishes it off and makes him come to life with all of his lovely character. So again, turned upside down, Put some foam pads on. You don't need very many on this layer because it's not very big. And then stick it on top of the other face layer. And there we have our gorgeous Boston Terrier dog all ready and finished. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial on how to assemble my Boston Terrier layered SVG. Don't forget the pattern to get this is available in my shop at shop.craftwithsarah.com, and I'll put a link to the exact place to get the pattern in the description of this video. If you'd like more Cricut tutorials and design space tutorials, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more videos. I release 3 new ones every week. Thank you for watching.